So, officially welcome to this afternoon session, Lynn and Sally. So let's dive into today's quote and a bit of teaching around that, and then we'll go into the lesson. And we might actually have time for the text today. You never know. Because the lesson's very short. So, share my screen. So let me know when you can see that, and one of you read it. Lynn, how about? I think this quote could really work for you, actually. So if you can read that.
I read that this morning.
By Marianne Williamson. Yeah.
Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You're a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others.
Yeah. How does that make you feel?
Well, everything makes me feel sad at the moment. Is this that I read that this morning at some early hour, and I could hear Sally saying bits of it to me because she always says that to me. So I believe it, but I don't understand why I would want to block. The days where I feel sad and dark and not good enough and all those things. I don't, it just seems mad that I would block that for myself.
It is mad. You're absolutely spot on there. Because why would you block your light and your magnificence and gorgeousness and talented nature and you're fabulous, brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous, and we all are.
Yeah.
But we don't think we are.
I know.
This is the problem. We think we're actually quite the opposite.
Not enough.
Dysfunctional, not good enough, and we don't want to shine. And we live in a culture that seems to support the inadequacy and the littleness. Oh no. Well, as long as you stay in your box, that's fine. You're okay then. But if you start, really shining your light, someone's going to tell you to get back in your box and stop being so out there and bragging. And I think British culture, particularly, it's like anyone who's like going out there, it's no. Let's get back in your box. It's too much. We got to keep the lid on everything, and it's all got to be very like. I get that no one likes a braggart because that's not what this is about. Like someone who's just blowing their own trumpet and is loud and arrogant. Someone like to say Donald Trump. This is not what we're talking about. But let's take a good example as a Yeshua. In his society, he goes out there and he just starts, teaching the truth, and he's doing miracles, and he's walking through the land and doing some pretty amazing stuff. Shining his light, really. He feels the call, and he just, he really listens to that, and he recruits a bunch of people, disciples, and then he gets some followers, and really he's spreading hope, and he's spreading light and love and hope wherever he goes. And they can't stand it. They can't everything they can possibly do to shut the guy up, to try and trick him, and eventually they crucify him because it's like, well, this guy's too much. We've got to got to kill him because he's that threatening to our establishment. So there's a huge resistance to the light in our world. Fortunately, in today's world, no one's going to kill you, but you may well get social um, lack of approval and correction. People saying, oh, this isn't the way to do it, and et cetera, et cetera, because it's not the way that most people are, and they find the light challenging and threatening.
I had it massively last year in a specific subject, in that without going into too much details, I wouldn't have, oh God, I might as well just say, I said, because I wouldn't have the vaccines, I got sacked from both of my jobs.
Right.
So yeah, last year was like a big rejection time for me. I think lots has been happening to me since then.
Yeah, well, there's a practical example. If you don't follow the herd mentality and
Yeah,
you think for yourself, then we sack him. It's outrageous. That's just crazy. Like,
it
how
was.
you have free choice. I mean, no one says you have to take this, just because the government and the medical industry say this is the right thing to do. We have free will, and you should be able to make your own choices. And
Yeah,
you shouldn't be fired because you've made a more conscious choice. It should be up to individuals. So that's an interesting thing, really, because
they took us. Yeah, they took us through a whole disciplinary. So it's like being told you're doing something so badly wrong. You're going through the whole legal disciplinary procedure so that we can sack you, and that's what they did to hundreds of staff.
Oh, and
throughout the company.
no one took them to court and said, hang on.
Well, I was being supported by Unison, and because the law had come into place that was saying the NHS were going to have to be vaccinated, they used that really to say, well, if the NHS are going to be, then you have to be. And of course, that never happened because so many NHS staff refused to have them as well. And they just would have, the thing would have collapsed if they'd done that. So they changed the law and didn't make the NHS staff have them. So yeah, that's a big turning point in my life. So I've learned a lot since then. I feel like I've grown a lot since then. I've learned from it. The lesson, it was meant to be a massive lesson, obviously, but I'm not clear of it yet.
Yeah, well, so they did you a favor in a way, because they're making you choose a thought system, saying, any thought system where they're going to impose on you this choice that you have to do this. This is not freedom. This is tyranny.
No, it was never going to happen. I was never going to have it ever. No.
So, you stuck to your principles, and now you're on a different track, maybe, and
I am very different.
that's probably how spirit intended it. So, okay.
Yeah, and then that's what I keep reminding myself on the dark days.
Move you on from the job dependency, and free you from that, and do your own thing. And it can be a bit scary, but
really good as well. Yeah.
Yeah, because you've got to call on your own your own true self, your true resources. So, okay, I've got to dig deep into this, and show me the way.
Yeah.
This is all guided, and so you cut the security blanket of the job, and then you have to really learn to trust.
Yeah, that's where I fail, obviously, sometimes.
Rely on God only. There's a presence. This presence he's talking about, that is so extraordinarily amazing that it can do anything. Miracles, sorting out your finances, making sure you've got a roof over your head, and this is kids stuff for it. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
You've just got to really listen to it and trust.
I am working on it.
Yeah, good. Well, these sessions and all the spiritual work you're doing is investing in this presence that takes
Yeah.
you beyond fear. And as Marion says, your deepest fear is that you're amazing and that you are the light of the world. And the ego really doesn't want you to know that, and doesn't want you to ever get anywhere close to realizing that, and never mind expressing it in the world, because that's the end of it. If you start to really extend it, express it into the world, then in the expression of it, you believe it. If you become like a Yeshua and a Buddha, a teacher of God who's actually doing it all the time, then there's no room for the ego anymore. You're undoing it. So it's got a huge resistance to this. You're fulfilling your true function in the world, being the light of the world.
Yeah.
But there's a call, for you to become that. So which call are you going to listen to is the question. And speaking personally, this one, although it's not overtly the most powerful to start with, because the ego's in charge, but this one is so enormously powerful that if you do start to just listen to it little by little, it grows, and it takes you on a path, and extraordinary things do start to kind of happen through, and you go, oh, wow, okay, I didn't know that was going to happen. I didn't intend that, but it's just happening through me. I'm being done through here, and it feels very very. So,
Yeah.
any other thoughts on that quote? Let's to Susie. Hi, Susie. Nice
Yeah, a bit like him, really. I think it's so true that I think more and more especially when I read it this morning as well, it does hit you. But I think I've come on at the right time on these calls, because as you know, I only come once a week, but I've had such a good build up to this today, because you shared about the punishment. I think it was over the weekend, how we do end up punishing ourselves. And I think it's all these realizations of this is the truth, and yet we run away from the truth, want to escape it. So it's a really good quote. I like that. But it does, and the word again, God, I have to keep saying true essence. And I love the way that you keep saying it's the awareness of this reformless, love, additional love and stuff. So I have to, but like you said, it is my training and bringing that in my forefront instead of anything else. And then you mentioned the ego is in charge, which I've noticed for a long time. But it's good, because you knew that as well. It's like I knew it was in control, but I had to read what you've been sharing to see, you've seen it on a different level.
Yeah.
So nice to be here. I'm glad I got on. It was updating Zoom for some reason, so I'm glad I've got on.
Yeah, well, welcome again. So
what strikes me about this quote now, I mean, I've used it for years, but when we say it's our own light shining, really it's not our own light, is it? It's the truth. So it's allowing the truth to come through us. So that's what Lynn did about her job. She spoke her truth, and it was the divine truth. It was pure truth. And then other people aren't necessarily in that alignment, so they deny it and push it away and make it wrong, don't they? There's something in it today that just feels a little different. Like it's not about, as a child, sometimes you're full of yourself over something, and your parents would tell you, calm down, be quiet, sit down, be quiet. Don't be so happy, or don't be so,
boisterous.
Yeah, whatever. So you're told to kind of calm it down and keep it quiet, but actually what you're doing is you're expressing the truth, the joy of life, the pureness of life,
And so that's not an individual thing, is it? You're expressing it for the whole, for everyone to see.
Yeah.
I remember you, Lynn, saying that somebody had told you not to post your photography pictures on Facebook because you were overshadowing them. And that's like, yeah. And that's,
yeah. That quote, that whole quote thing made me think of that person quite a bit, because they have been stopping my shine, or made me want to stop my shine, should I say.
Showing you your restrictions to showing it. Yeah. It's fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the person actually said, "Don't do it because you're overshadowing me." I mean,
it happened in so many different ways. It was not good. Yeah, a lot. I won't. Yeah, I'm not going into that. Oh God. Oh dearie me.
There's the projection of the ego. So
yeah,
see, it's the mirror. Then that's your own limitation.
Yeah.
Your own resistance to shining your light coming through in the form of a person who's now expressing that, oh, no, you can't do that. And so then, do you listen or don't you? You listen to the restrictions.
Well, that particular relationship has just ended, so that's that. That's that.
Yeah, well, it's obviously meant to be then, because someone is that insecure.
Yeah.
Then can you shine your light and be in a relationship with that person? Is that possible, really?
No.
No. So then it's a bondage, it's a limitation, it's a prison, and then it's gonna hamper your spiritual growth.
Yeah.
So you're far better off, being on your own, being free.
Yeah, I know.
And, pursuing this path of spiritual awakening. And there's nothing more threatening to someone who's not spiritually awakened and is actually scared of their own light than someone who's awakening. Being in a relationship with someone who's awakening, they're going to try and suppress that as much as they possibly can, because it's challenging them.
Yeah, they kind of see you like an alien, really.
They don't want you shining your light, and then who's the alien? This is what it comes down to. Who is the alien? Is love or fear the alien in your mind? If they stand for a thought system of limitation and lack and fear and hiding your light, then that's this is what Yeshua is saying to us. That's the alien. That's the false belief system, and you cannot honor that and also honor your light. It's not possible. You have to choose.
Yeah, I've been compromising.
It's time just to stop compromising. This is an uncompromising quote, just saying, I'm going to shine my light no matter what. And if it pushes other people's buttons, I love this. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. That's what we think we need to do. Oh, well, I won't really shine my light because this might push people's buttons and they might feel somewhat insecure around me, and so I'll hold back and I won't do it. And then you're allowing the ego via the other person to control your life. And that's not ever going to bring happiness and joy.
No, he was literally saying, let me post mine first. Let me post my pictures first. I mean, when I look at it now, it's crazy.
Bizarre, yeah. That's a picture, but that's the fragile nature of the ego's self-image. I'm so insecure that let me post my pictures first. I mean, who cares? They're just pictures.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's both of our business. It's both photography businesses, but still, it's it's crazy. Craziness. Never mind.
Yeah.
So one of your videos you shared last week was about is it every experience is a pointer to where we're going, because I think what I'm trying to say is that I'm getting a lot from what you share by what I've experienced. And I guess, do we have to go through most of this to understand it really? And we've got to that point that enough is enough. And you've been pointed again, like you say, to A Course in Miracles.
Yeah.
And and it's leading us more into our own, because we've noticed this for a long while because of the experiences we're having. You know, you think to some degree, you think of some of the experiences you've had, you wouldn't wish that on anybody else, but it's something you've had to go through.
Yeah, everything that at first sight seems like a negative, I'm very aware. It's a great learning curve. Even when I'm in the throes of it and it's painful, I'm still not, you know, thoroughly lost in it. I get a bit lost in it at times, but then I come back out and I look at it from the outside and think, oh, you know, I know why that happened. It had to change, or I've learned that from that, and you know, something else is going to happen instead. So I can see it all. I've just had a load of things happen at once, and that's what's really shaken me and unsteadied me.
Yeah, which you know, that's a crisis, some kind of some spiritual crisis. But there's a huge opportunity in that to really let go of the old self and emerge into the, you know, the true self.
Well, the fact that I'm here is no mistake.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right now, you know, on these calls with you and meeting the people I'm meeting. So no, it's all as it's meant to be. I know that.
It's all being directed in the right way. So just continue. You know, don't. I mean, the point is, we all have resistance. We all do this to an extent, but the heroes, people who are on their hero's journey of awakening, continue. And all they do is they say, well, you know, it doesn't matter that there's resistance and there's challenges and difficulties. That's normal. That's part of the journey. So I carry on. Keep calm and carry on, as Winston Churchill famously said. I carry on irrespective of the difficulties and the resistance, because what other choice do I have? I can't go back into my dark hole and ever find happiness there. If we have a look at the hero's journey, I've shown you this, Lynn. Might be quite useful just to share with you. It's this diagram. So this is schematic of teaching from a guy called Joseph Campbell, who looked at all the different cultures and religions and spiritual traditions and found that there was this monomyth, he called it, of the hero and his journey through life. And this was universal. This occurred across different cultures in different times. So, you know, it's a universal pattern. This, incidentally, is the general theme for many movies. Whenever there's a
I feel like I've seen this. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, so it's quite commonly known now, but 100 years ago, before Joseph Campbell lived, it wasn't really known. No one had actually observed this and laid it out. So he sort of saw this and dedicated his life to teaching it. And you know, this is an archetype for the spiritual journey of awakening. So it starts with a call to adventure. Like, okay, well, you know, you lose your job as an example, or you break up in a relationship. So it can seem to be something negative. That's the call, but actually, it's a call to growth, and it's a call to go outside of this known world of the ego. So this is all, you know, mental, emotional. You don't necessarily go anywhere physically, although sometimes you might. Just depends on you know, how your particular journey unfolds. But it's really a call to move out of the known world of what you know, the Lynn you know, the life you know, limitations you know, and moving beyond those into the unknown, into a world where you're starting to discover who you really are. But that can seem to be very, very challenging and very tempting along the way, because the ego is going to try desperately to keep you in the known world and stop you from this path of spiritual growth. And that resistance is the shows up in the form of challenges and temptations, usually seemingly from the external world. You get these challenges and temptations like you've described, you've had, But through it all, there is guidance and there is help. You can see mentors, helpers, guidance come in to help you on this journey, which is exactly what's happened. You're showing up.
Yeah.
So
Happens
it shows
you
there are two forces. There's a force for the known world that wants to keep you in your box, and there is undoubtedly a force that's encouraging you to grow and to cast off those limitations and to overcome the challenges and temptations. Ultimately, you go to the abyss of death and rebirth. So this is the death of the ego, the death of the separate self, the old self, and being reborn in the spirit, and recognizing that actually this old self really wasn't you. It's died in your mind, and that can seem to be very painful as that old self dies. It feels like you're losing everything, and it feels like a death experience. But you're not physically going to die. Your body will maintain, and you come out of it as a transformed human being.
Yeah.
So someone who's really transformed her identity and understands now who she is on a much deeper level. And then there's the at one moment, and you had a little realization of that yesterday. As part of it, as I transform myself, I realize that I'm just one little spark of the great light, and there's no really separate person. We're just sparks of the great mind, the one mind that's awakening. We're awakening together. So these kinds of realizations start to come, and they start to become visceral, that you actually know them experientially rather than just as a theory. And that's really what distinguishes someone who's been on the hero's journey. It's an experience they've had, and they have moved out of the known to the unknown. They then return to their known world, so they can take up their form identity again. So, okay, well, I can use the form identity of Lynn, because we all have to have a name and an identity in this world. But I'm not attached to it. I don't believe that's me anymore. I just I use it as a vehicle to navigate in the illusion, and I use it as a way to connect with people, a way to help others go on their journey, call others to adventure, and that then becomes the purpose of your life. And then what often happens is people will change careers, change jobs, and their lives become dedicated to this process, to helping other people to awaken, however that looks. You might become a professional healer, Sally is. You might just do it in your spare time. You might change the way you take photographs. Everything becomes dedicated now to awakening.
Yeah, it has been for a year, and I've just started doing my complementary therapies again. I trained in them a few years ago, and I've just got a regular client for reflexology and stuff. So it's all happening. I can see it.
You just got rerouted into another frequency, and that's the hero's journey.
Yeah,
and it's not without its challenges. Most people don't go on it because it's difficult. If it were easy, then we'd all do hero's journey, great. It's not a walk in the park. It's going to really test you to your absolute core, and ultimately the ego is going to go. So there's a death experience in there, and this can feel quite traumatic at the time. But it's something Joseph Campbell observed in all cultures and religious and spiritual traditions. So this is how it works. At the end, you come out the other side, and you are an expanded human being, and then you can be truly helpful, having been through your own hero's journey. So that's what's going on for you, and so just celebrate that. You
didn't really some days.
You didn't really like the known world anyway. You're not really happy and comfortable there anyway. So now it's just okay. We'll shake it all off and really go into this unknown and trust that there is a presence behind this journey that's going to guide you through all the challenges and temptations and guide you to your true self, which is what you're here to learn. There's no other purpose for the journey of human life than to know thyself.
Okay.
Who
Yeah.
are you really? And that's what the hero's journey is telling us, you know. So it's a useful construct to remember, especially in your challenges and temptation, darkest hour.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not the only person to have gone through this. Everyone who's ever done anything extraordinary in this world, you go, wow, you know, like I can really acknowledge there was spiritual integrity there. This person lived according to a higher power. They went through it. They had to go through some difficulty to do that.
Yeah.
And so you know, it's my turn. So you know, embrace it and be thankful that you know the spirit's got you and it's guiding you through this, and it's gonna really try and help you to get through this as easily and quickly as possible. That doesn't mean you're not going to feel challenged and tempted, but the power, the presence is always there to help you, and so you know in the challenges and temptations, the key is to learn to draw on that power and go there and say, this is the way I'm going to get through this. And then you start to learn to go to the light and to draw upon the light and to let your light shine through you in the darkest hour, in the challenges and temptations. That's when you learn it the best. Because if things are easy, then why do you need to dig deep? There's no call to really look at your mind, really look at the darkness and say, okay, I'm done with this. You know, this pattern has got to go, and I'm willing to really just go to the light. Only the light will be my guide from now on, and the darkness is no longer an option. And this is what all heroes end up doing, saying, okay, there's only one way here. It's away from darkness, through the abyss, the dark night of the soul. This has been called.
Yeah.
The death of the ego, and to the light. That's the only way through this drama. So rejoice, it's all happening for you.
Yeah. It will be.
Okay, so any comments, thoughts, questions on this diagram? On the hero's
Making me smile. Lynn's coughing her lungs out, and you're saying, enjoy it.
Just let me choke.
Just it's like a purging. It's purging whatever that energy is. It's coming out in the coughing and the spluttering, and it's like
I feel like there must be something I haven't got to yet, though. Even with the clearings I've done, the stuff I've done with you, the stuff I've done with Sue and Sally here, I've done. It's the most I've done in a short space of time for years, and this is still stuck in my throat. You know, it's telling me something. I'll be very glad to get to the bottom of it. And that's why I'm here today, because I didn't, you know, I had resistance today, but I knew I was going to still come on and give it a go. So.
Well, it's the core identity. The resistance is there. The core of Lynn as a separate self, as an ego, and as a victim. I mean, I think that's been your identity for a long time. Am I right?
Yeah. Yes.
I'm somewhat of a victim of the world. I feel unfairly treated. Oh, poor me.
Yeah. That thing last year brought that up so massively to me. Oh God, I felt so victimized. It was. Oh God, so uncomfortable, so painful, horrible. Now the relationship thing, and the other two things that have happened are exactly the same subject. So I know I've done clearings with Sally and Sue about feeling like a victim, victimization. I've been clearing on it. I knew that was the main part of the subject, but I don't know why it's still.
Because you haven't fully accepted your true identity.
No, okay, that is true. That is the truth.
We did it yesterday, and you said it, but I could tell there was some resistance. So we'll try again today.
Okay.
Get to the resistance.
Okay.
That could be really good. Just to say it with absolute
conviction,
feeling and conviction.
Yeah.
And in the saying of it, then you're shifting the ego. If you say I am love with absolute certainty and conviction, it's extraordinarily powerful what those 3 words do.
Yeah, it brings it right up. I mean, even when I saw it this morning, because I think in that email you went through yesterday, didn't you? And I read it again. And I was like, oh God, there it is again.
Yeah. It's going to keep going. We've got 9 more days of review lessons. And the reason he's repeating it over and over, such a simple idea, is because we don't accept it. God is only love, and therefore so am I. We don't accept, that truth, because that truth is the end of the ego. No special self, no separate self anymore. I am love. I am this divine presence that's beyond specialness, beyond the body, beyond Lynn, and all of Lynn's dysfunctions and dramas, and beyond the victim identity I've constructed for myself.
Yeah.
Completely transcendent. So that there's a deep-seated resistance. This is game over for the ego if you really accept that.
Yeah, I know it's on its way. I'm not, I had something happened at the weekend, and when I tuned into it, it was death of the ego. So I know I'm getting closer and closer. So I've just got to get there.
Let's see what it's an ongoing journey.
Yes.
We'll see what unfolds today. So let's remember, getting there. It's just levels and levels of unfolding and releasing.
Yeah.
I'm not sure you ever really get there. Oh, now I'm enlightened. Okay, I've got there. I'm not sure it works that way, because it's a continuum. You're like, okay, well, yes, I definitely feel expanded, and I feel more connected to my source. But journey continues, and probably tomorrow I might have another challenge coming up.
Yeah. Otherwise, we wouldn't stay here, would we? There would be no point in us being here. So.
Yeah, well, if you've really got it, your time here is going to be short-lived, because there's no need, I suppose, a teaching function. Someone like the Buddha stayed around for 45 years as a teacher. He probably could have left, but he didn't. He was dedicated to his teaching function. Yeshua only lasted 3 years. He came to his enlightenment, 3 years of intense teaching, and that was it. He was out of here. So it just depends. But probably for most of us, it's going to be a fairly long journey. We still, I don't know how old you are, 40s, 50s. There's still 50s. maybe 30 years of life, 40 years of life, who knows, to go. So you've got to just say, well, I'm in it for the long haul here. I'm committed to doing this.
Yeah.
The rest of my life, what else am I going to do? And be the light of the world, and be guided in that, and live a happy dream while I'm here. That's the best you can possibly do.
Yeah.
Okay, so nice quote. If we want to, let's read the teaching on it. So Susie, if you can read first paragraph, please. Today's quote by Marianne Williamson.
Today's quote by Marianne Williamson, one of the world's best-known AC, A Course in Miracle teachers, certainly had an impact on the world, as it was quoted by Nelson Mandela in his first speech on the day he was released from prison after 27 years.
A lot of people think it was actually Nelson's quote, but he just kind of made it famous because he quoted it, which is quite extraordinary. I mean, you won't hear world leaders quoting Marianne Williamson generally. But he did. It obviously had a deep impact on him. And he was touched, he was moved by the principles. While he was in prison, presumably I don't know if he read the entire book, but he must have had exposure to the quote at the very least, and ideas around the quote. And he clearly deeply understood them, because he came out and he really applied those principles in his regime. And instead of a vindictive, vengeful regime, he was really enlightened. He treated everyone with respect. He said this is about reconciliation. He kept on his white staff. All the white staff were like, "Oh, are we going to be sacked now?" He said, "No, you keep your jobs." Really an extraordinary man, because I think he'd had 27 years to really study this. It was like a 27 years of deep spiritual practice. He was living like a monk in this little cell for most of those years, living, very monastic lifestyle. And he used that for his spiritual transformation and awakening. If he hadn't been to prison for 27 years, then I doubt he would have got there. He wouldn't have been the same transformed human being. So, pretty extraordinary story. And how these principles really, changed the whole country. There was really a miracle that took place in South Africa in the 90s. And I was there. I lived through it. It was quite extraordinary what happened. You just saw this blossoming, this flowering, and love and connection, and people forgiving each other. And during that time, there was a lot of hope. People were like, wow, actually, we can actually do this. We can actually live together. We can work this out. And it all looked pretty promising and rosy. And then when he left, his predecessor, his successors didn't have the same consciousness, not even close. So then it reverted to separation. It became like black versus white, and we're going to favor the black over the white, and that's just more separation. You're making the same mistake, whichever way you want to slice it. Whichever group's being favored, it's separation, and it's just another version of apartheid. Apartheid just means separation. And we don't understand, without the wisdom of, say, Mandela, who studied these great wisdom teachings. People don't understand that it's just the same thing, and that thought system, whichever way you slice it and dice it, doesn't work. It's never going to bring peace and harmony to any society. Anyway, so that's my personal experience with it. But without him reading the book and through it being exposed to the concept of radical forgiveness, because I think he really understood forgiveness on quite a deep level. Was, you must forgive no matter what has been done to you. As Yeshua teaches it in the Course in Miracles, perhaps the history would be very different. I think it would be very different without that energy guiding it in those critical years. It would be a very different country.
Well, can you imagine having that book all around jails? I mean, can you just imagine that? Because I often used to think how we got through most of the time, but if this was one of his readings, it was the best thing, because, like you said. But then it's strange how there still is apartheid, and it's weird, isn't it? But it's great to listen to what you're having to say about it, and being there is.
Well, the ego is very deep seated.
Yeah.
These divisions in people's minds run very deep, and it's not just whites who are racist.
No.
Blacks who are racist, hugely, but that's okay, because it's been done to us, so therefore it seems to be okay to now do it in reverse as some kind of revenge or something, and it's simply not okay. It's just it's not acceptable if you're going to be truly spiritual and authentic. Either way, whichever way you're going to do it, it's not acceptable. It's separation, and it's not justifiable, and you recognize the harm that it does to yourself and to other people. That this is not a basis, a foundation for any kind of functional society, and yet this is it's seemingly acceptable in my country. It's okay to be racist one way, but not okay. God help you if you do it the other way. You'll be crucified. But if you do it the other, I mean, that's just crazy. That's just totally ego madness. You can see it so clearly. South Africa is a good case study, really, because there was an opening into something spiritual. And if it had continued, if say Nelson, if he'd been 20 years younger and he'd continued for, say, 2 terms and maybe groomed a successor who thought in the same way, who knows? Maybe it could have been different. But it was like a brief flowering of consciousness, of spirit, and then ego comes back, And then, you experience the deleterious effects of that. The whole society gets degraded. You really do see it. This belief system in separation is very destructive, a very dark, destructive thought system in which nothing can really flower. There's no real hope if everyone's believing in that. So yeah, I mean, just from my personal experience, living it, you absolutely see on a collective level, just how the ego does not work and how the spirit really can work. Amazing! It is possible for a whole group of people, a society, to orient in one way or another. Usually with inspired leadership, and a leader's gonna take them down the path. And there's a great line. It was in one of the movies about Nelson and his wife Winnie, and she kind of went the other way. She was really bitter and twisted, and she wanted revenge. And she said to him, Nelson, the people want revenge, and we need to give them what they want. And he said, no, Winnie, you're wrong. The people are wrong. The people need leadership. They are incorrect. They need a leader to lead them out of the darkness to the light. And there was a departure. They divorced because they couldn't agree. It was ego versus spirit on the way. She was like, give the people what they want, revenge. And he was like, we cannot do that. They need inspired leadership. They need to be shown another way, and that's the responsibility of leaders. I think there's a dearth of leadership. Kind of refer back to your point, with this whole COVID thing. I mean, you just go, really? These are leaders? I mean, there's no inspiration. There's no like visionary leadership, inspiration, someone saying anything different. It's just like business as usual. They're basically managers. These aren't leaders. They're not inspiring. Where the Mandelas and the Gandhis and the Churchills? They're not there anymore. There's no inspiration because these leaders are disconnected from their spirit, and they're just
completely
kind of managers. They're just kind of managing the population. So right, well, here's what you do, and wouldn't it have been refreshing for a leader to come out and say, no, we're not going to do this. Actually, let's look at this a different way. Let's perceive this differently. We're not going to do the standard. What we're going to encourage people to do is to really be healthy, and let's look at some alternative treatments. Let's look at things like wellness and good diet and exercise, and let's not follow the ego's program of separation and vaccinations. But then they probably wouldn't have lasted very long. That leader would have been
kicked out.
You kicked out because it doesn't follow the ego's agenda at all. Been a couple of political leaders in the US who stood out in the last 150 years, and both of them were assassinated.
Yeah.
Both of them got the chop.
Yeah.
Because they didn't follow the program. They weren't following the ego's program. So yeah, I wouldn't to be a worldly leader. This is what Yeshua avoided. There he is on the cross. He avoided it because he understood it was a trap. Like trying to become king of the Jews and some kind of political leader was a huge trap. So he refused it, and he just said, the true leadership is spiritual leadership, to lead people to the kingdom of heaven and out of this world. That's the true leader. And he didn't get involved in the politics of his day, really. Well, kind of eventually got him because the Romans and the Jews, conspired to. But then he transcended that. The amazing thing about his story was he transcended it through another thought system, and he demonstrated so clearly that this thought system of control and persecution and death is not true, and that there is another way. And that the crucifixion resurrection drama was just an amazing teaching in that. So
yeah,
a really good example of forgiveness and reconciliation in the face of the temptation to really condemn. Imagine if he'd said, I curse you unto the 7th generation on the cross. Imagine if he'd said that. I curse your fathers and your fathers' fathers for this sin, and you will be condemned to hell. I mean, he wouldn't have become known for what he was. This line was like the ultimate, the epitome of his teaching as a spiritual teacher was on the cross suffering,
Giving.
to be able to say that and say, Father, forgive me, for they know not what they do. What a line! What an amazing line to come up with when you can barely breathe, and and yet he says it. So possibly his most famous line ever, because of the duress, the temptation he was under to hold a grievance, and he didn't succumb. That was really the message of the crucifixion, that there is a transcendent forgiveness no matter what happens. This was the lesson of the crucifixion. Most of us are not going to be asked to be crucified. That doesn't happen in today's world anymore. It's not going to happen. But how are you crucifying yourself? This is really the question.
Yeah. Especially this month, I've been doing a lot of that.
Yeah. The self-crucifixion, and his words apply equally to you. Forgive them, for you just didn't know what you were doing, and that's okay. But now you're starting to learn what you're doing. You can let go of it.
Yeah.
And you don't have to crucify yourself anymore. There's no requirement for pain and misery and suffering and death. This is the ego's thought system that has no validity and truth.
No, and no benefit either.
No. What benefit does it have for someone to suffer? The ego is going to tell you, a big benefit there, because you're a victim and you can kind of juice this for all it's worth. But in truth, there's no benefit to suffering at all.
No.
So the resurrection is really the resurrection of your own mind into the light of who you really are. Who is Lynn really, beyond the victim who's crucified herself for so many years? Who are you really? And Yeshua demonstrated to us, so clearly, that you are the light of the world, and you are your only love and only light. And even in the extreme situation he was in, he shone his light. There was no darkness in his mind, even though this was happening to him on a physical level. So Lynn, if you want to read the next paragraph.
This is probably the most powerful example of radical or true forgiveness in history. An example that did change the world, as it's an essential part of the legacy Yeshua left that led to the development of the Christian religion, which in turn has had a major influence on billions of people's lives and human societies around the world for the last 2,000 years.
So think about what he did. When he said, this is God's will, not my will, but God's will. That didn't mean God wanted him to suffer. But he understood that in order for his teaching to become a world teaching, that this was necessary. If he had never been crucified, we would never have heard of him. It would have just been, he's another spiritual teacher in the Holy Land, and he would have been lost in history. But because of the crucifixion and the resurrection, and then the faith that his disciples had in him, they absolutely believed, because they'd seen him dead, and then they'd seen him alive, and so they believed in his message, to the point where they were willing to be crucified themselves, and some were. And he knew that this was how the teaching was going to really get out there, because he was leaving, but his disciples had to carry the message to all the known world, and they needed to be inspired with the Spirit, and his example was going to inspire them. So just what an extraordinary man. You can only be in awe. Imagine the temptation to run away. He knew they were coming for him, and he sits, and he's in that garden of Gethsemane, and he's just waiting, and he knows they're coming in a couple of hours, and he knows what he's got to go through, and he waits, and he goes, not my will but thy will. I will surrender to this, because this is necessary for the greater good. Wow, that's courage. That's pretty amazing.
Terrifying.
No, well, he overcame, that was his final test. Personally, that
Yeah.
was like, okay, I go into the darkness. I'm not scared. They can do whatever they want to my body, but I am the Christ. And I think that was his final forgiveness lesson. It's like, okay, I'm going to take this to the max, to the extreme. I'm not going to shy away from anything the ego throws at me. I'll face it head on. I'll go through the apparent pain and suffering and the humiliation. He's a great spiritual teacher, and then he's having to carry his cross, and he's being whipped and flogged, and I'll go through this experience because it's necessary for the highest good. Because otherwise, my teaching will not come into a world teaching. And we're talking about his experience 2,000 years later. I mean, that's extraordinary. Really, really, what a powerful, his life was his teaching. So I think he's calling us to do the same. Make your life your teaching, and step up and do not be afraid of the ego in any way, shape, or form. Don't back down. Face it and shine your light, because that light is so great that it can resurrect a body. That's not a problem. He's demonstrated it.
Yeah.
So this is why we follow him. This is why he's my teacher, because I'm like, okay, I don't know anyone who's gone to that level. Wow, that's when they say the Christian teaching, he died for our sins, it's really a misinterpretation. He did it because he wanted to bring the teaching into our lives and into our minds in a way that was so powerful, and it required the crucifixion, resurrection drama to happen, for that to happen. That's why he did it. So talk about dedication to your teaching. He took it to a level I don't think anyone else has taken it to. So then he earns my respect. Okay, you can be my teacher, then I'll follow you because you've walked the path. And
the sins is like the ego equivalent of the ego, isn't it? Because it was the humans' egos that saw him as dangerous and feeling that need to kill him.
Yeah, he was hugely threatening to the social order. The Romans and the Jews were like, no, keep order at all costs. Keep the status quo. The Romans are in charge. The Jews are kind of as long as they're in charge as well, and they have their little power thing going on within the greater. The Romans were the political control, as long as they had their religious control, which the Romans allowed, and they had their business model going on because they were making money from the taxes and the temple and stuff. It was an unholy alliance, and Yeshua was threatening the whole thing, saying, no, this is not God's will. This is not the will of God at all. And he's so bold. He goes into the temple, into the very heart of the control system, says, no, this isn't going to do. And he turns up the tables, and they go, oh dear, no, we can't have this. You're giving people ideas of insurrection, and this is going to create disorder in our so-called orderly construct, and so you've got to go. The easiest way to do it is just kill you. And of course they were so fearful. There's a movie called Risen with watching. I don't know. Did you watch that, Sally?
Risen. Which one was that?
It was around Easter. I don't think you hadn't joined by then.
I hadn't. No. An
Easter movie that we showed. Really, really powerful movie, told from the perspective of a Roman soldier who's now got to search for the body. And the Jews are terrified that there won't be a body because the power of a risen Messiah is so enormous. That's someone who can actually overcome death. So they're terrified that he's actually going to do what he said he's going to do. And so, oh no, we've got to find a body, and there's no body. The body's gone. I was like, where's the body? Go find the body. And this poor Roman shoulders got to go look for the body. And of course, there's no body. And then he sees Jesus alive, and he's like, oh, and he just like drops his sword, and he's like totally gobsmacked. So it's a brilliant scene. He's just like, what the hell's going on here? Because his whole thought system has just been turned upside down. That he's seen this man who was dead, a week before, and now he's seen him alive, and he's just like, whoa, like I just can't even process that. And so that's his own awakening. It's his own hero's journey. It's a great movie to watch called Risen. I'll post it to the group after this. So if you want to, you can go, and I'm sure you can get it on Netflix, and it's actually available free on a site. So I'll post it out. Yeah. So can you see from these two examples of people who lived, so-called great lives, quote unquote, 2 millennia apart, that there's really an integral connection between what's been called greatness, which is really just the power to influence millions of people positively. That's what we call great, and the ability to forgive or to let go of grievances. Both Nelson Mandela and Yeshua had apparent justification for huge grievances, and yet they let them go, and they found love instead. They stood for love instead. They saw only love stemming from the ultimate source of love, or Father, as Yeshua called his presence on the cross, that fateful day. So, who would like to read the next paragraph?
Yeah, I will. Where are we? Therefore?
Yeah, therefore greatness.
Therefore, greatness is not about manifesting so-called big things in the dream of this world, because it's only a dream. And to give value to the dream is to enslave our minds to the ego's rule, which is the belief in separation in all its forms, and remain dreaming. Rather, true greatness is about allowing the source of all life and love to guide us in all our thoughts, words, and actions while we're seemingly living in the dream world.
Yeah, so the ego can misinterpret greatness, and it'll think greatness is about achieving things on the level of form, making lots of money. Donald Trump is just a classic example. He's such a useful teacher, really, for all of us, because there's the greatness of the ego manifested, and we all kind of look at it and go, yuck, that's not really greatness at all. It's pseudo greatness. It's like there's nothing really great at all, because it lacks a spiritual foundation. There's no depth of character or integrity to that kind of greatness. So it's grandiosity and not true greatness. The true greatness, we see it coming through leaders like a Mandela and people like Gandhi and Martin Luther King, and there's been a number of shining examples in the last 100 years or so. It comes from character. It comes from a deep understanding of truth, and being willing to walk that truth in the face of apparent difficulty and obstacles. That's what greatness is. Greatness isn't, oh well, I'm a billionaire, and I'm going to buy my way to becoming a president, and I have no personal integrity at all. That's just fake, and we see it. Anyone with any kind of discernment sees through that and says that's not greatness at all. That's just rather yucky. It's grandiosity masquerading as greatness. We'll make America great was his promise. What does that even mean? And we'll make America great. Well, if you're not great yourself, you're not living a great life, how would you even understand what that word means? And he didn't at all. The greatness is all superficial greatness. He never even defined what it means. What does that actually mean? It wasn't clear to anyone, but they voted for him anyway. Kind of extraordinary. Yeah, it's about the true greatness coming from forgiveness, coming from a deep letting go of the ego. That's where greatness arises, and then being inspired to walk that path, no matter what the challenges and the temptations are, to listen to the guidance of the Spirit and follow greatness. Now, in practical terms, you might never affect millions of people, but in your circle of influence, however big that is, people will acknowledge that and say, yeah, this is a person of integrity. This is someone who has this quality of greatness, even if it's just on a very small scale in your local network and community and just the people you know. It doesn't matter, because it's the quality that's important. It's not the quantity. It's not the the external result. and how many people's lives you touched, and did this become a world teaching, and are you famous? That's not what it's about at all. Okay, so next one, Susie, if you can read that for us.
We do this by systematically letting go of any negative blocks to the awareness of love's presence. Guilt, fear, anger, hatred, and all thoughts and emotions that are not loving, as we become aware of them. This liberates our minds from their self-created prison and sets us free to love and be loved again. And it is only this unconditional love manifesting through our words and actions that is the source of true greatness.
Which is what the quote is saying. This love is the love of God that it's referring to, that will manifest through us in our words and our actions, and inspire us to do so-called great things. And that might seem to be a very humble thing. It's just a kind act or word, nothing extraordinary, and yet I call it extraordinary ordinary, because it's extraordinary to listen to the spirit and not the ego in this world, and allow that to direct your ordinary thoughts and words and actions. And so you become inspired with a higher purpose, and life becomes extraordinary ordinary experiences, but you're experiencing them extraordinarily because you're experiencing through the spirit and not the ego. And love is directing all of your thoughts, words, and actions. That is an extraordinary life. There's not many people who allow that to happen. Okay, so Lynn, if you can read the next one.
Oh, I've lost my screen. Is it from Remember?
Yeah, remember this.
Remember this the next time you're tempted to believe in the littleness in which your ego wants you to believe by fearing, judging, and condemning others, and bring to mind the extreme examples of Nelson Mandela and Yeshua to help you let go of these imprisoning thoughts and emotions. After all, if they could let go of fear, anger, and condemnation in such extremely trying and tempting circumstances, surely you can do the same in the face of much less extreme temptations. Yes.
I think I said this to you yesterday, didn't I?
Mm.
So, what's your excuse? Really?
No, it's mad.
It's possible in extreme, in these really, really, challenging situations that those two human beings found themselves in. So what's your excuse? Why can't you do it?
I don't know.
In the face of much less extreme temptation. Well, just a resistance to an old self, that's on with their life. But just being inspired, the value of other people's experiences is that we can really use them to inspire us.
Yeah.
So Yeshua or Nelson Mandela, or anyone who's really walked an integrous path can be an inspiration to you to say, well, yeah, okay, if they can do it, I can do it too. And they all had, some extreme difficulties. It seems like the greater the person, the more obstacles they had to overcome. That's sort of the test of greatness. Yeah. All had, huge resistance from the ego, and yet walked a path consistently of not giving in to those limitations and standing for a truth that transcended them. Look at anyone who's, you could call had a great life in the last 100 years. I mean, people like Mandela is obvious one, Gandhi, maybe Martin Luther, maybe there's been a couple of others. Those are the standouts. They faced a lot of difficulty, a lot of resistance from the ego, and they stood in the face of that and died because of it. Gandhi was assassinated, so was Martin Luther. This This is what the ego does. It's like it doesn't like any challenge to its thought system, and if it's coming through a person very strongly, then its answer is, well, kill them. It didn't really matter, because their lives stood for something that transcends the world, and they remain a source of inspiration for millions of people. For many lifetimes to come. We'll remember those people because of what they stood for. So they lived valuable lives. They lived in a way that will be remembered. They left a legacy because of what they stood for, the eternal truth that they stood for in the face of the temptation not to. Okay. So hopefully that inspires you to walk your own path, walk your own journey.
Yeah.
And then just the last one, the theory is simple. It's Sally again, I think.
The theory is simple, but it's a lot easier said than done, because our egos resist letting go of these blocks for dear life, because these blocks are their life. This is why Yeshua has given us mind training lessons to help us practice letting go of our ego's negativity as we become aware of it daily and experience the love, peace, joy, and other great gifts that characterize greatness, which such radical forgiveness brings.
So it's actually, he's not saying greatness is some intangible out there quality. I think, the ego will go, oh, well, it might have been okay for Yeshua or Nelson Mandela or Gandhi or whoever. They were just, I don't know, special. They were famous. It's like, I can't be like that. And he's just saying, no, the rubber meets the road in your daily life. And I'm going to give you daily mind training lessons to train your mind and discipline your mind in ways of thinking and feeling that are in alignment with greatness. And then your whole life gets directed on a different path, and you can be exactly as these people were, and it'll play out in form in your own life in a different way. You have your unique journey back to spirit, and that may not look extraordinary to other people. You won't necessarily be famous or leave a legacy that lots of people will remember in 100 years' time, but none of that matters. What matters is that you experience it. That's what matters. You experience it in this life, and this is your awakening. This is your hero's journey, waking up to who you really are. That's what matters. And inevitably, that will spread to other people. Inevitably, you will make an impact on others if you really follow that path. And there's a greatness in that, because you've helped others to walk their own journey. All of these characters in the dream, like Yeshua and Nelson Mandela and Gandhi and so on, they inspire us to walk our own hero's journey. That's why we find them inspiring, because they walked a path, and we can see that what they did has true value, and there's integrity there, and they became something that we're inspired to through walking their own hero's journey. So then they inspire us to do the same thing. So it's like a chain reaction of heroes' journeys. This is the interlocking chain of miracles that Yeshua talks about. One person walking the path inspires another to walk the path, inspires another. And imagine if we created a tidal wave of awakening, just millions and millions of people sparking each other off on their journeys. That kind of mass awakening would change society profoundly, no doubt. Because the external mirrors the internal world. So I'm just going to show you this integral model quickly, and then we'll move into having a look at the lesson. So no, not that one, sorry. This one is what I want. So if millions of people start to awaken in the interior domain, and they are undertaking their own hero's journey of awakening in their own lives, that's gonna impact their behavior and their performance on the level of form. And if millions of people are interacting in society, then we create a different culture. There's a different collective thought system which gets expressed as different systems. There's different patterns of behavior that now form, and we organize society in a different way. If millions of people agree to do things differently, and we organize things differently. So this is what I believe we're happening. We're going to live through this in our lifetime, of a profound systemic change brought about by mass awakening, and all the current systems and patterns of behavior that we see are going to change, because the intention, collective, individual and collective intention is changing. And that's a pretty exciting time to be alive, to watch this all unfold. Your own awakening, and the awakening of humanity, to actually live through that. Well, that's what else are you here to do? It's a very exciting time, and I think we're in that time right now, and it's happening real time. This whole COVID thing, and the changes in society that are happening, and these kinds of talks, happening all over the world. It's part of an awakening process that's getting momentum, and it is changing the way society operates.
For me, the important aspect is we're being done through. So it isn't us little self having to make a great life. It's allowing, releasing all resistance to this power coming through, this light, this love, whatever you want to call it. So it's just us getting out of the way, isn't it, really?
Yeah, being done through, and letting go of our false self-concept. We have to die to our old self. Getting out the way means you die to the ego. It's no longer there. It's no longer directing your thoughts, words, and actions. And there's a new self, this higher self, that is love, that's now in charge, and that's going to direct your life in a very, very different way. Going to guide you in a very different way. As these masters, that's Socrates, Jesus, Yeshua, Buddha, and Lao Tzu. So 4 masters from history, all lived 2,000 to 2,500 years ago, in a time when there was a lot of shift in society. 2,500 years ago, it was quite extraordinary what happened, because the Greeks were awakening. Buddha comes along and he's shaking things up in the East, and Lao Tzu comes along with Taoism, and it was like a flowering of human consciousness, which I think then Jesus continued 500 years later and brought it into the Western society. So we're in another time. 2,000 years later, I think it's time for another round of awakening, and the world needs masters who are on the same level. Who's it going to be? Why can't it be you? This is the call to greatness we all face, and now with the power of technology, we can reach so many people. It's quite extraordinary what took hundreds, thousands of years before. Now it can happen so quickly, because we're all connected through this technology, and a message can get out there very, very quickly. So amazing. Amazing time to be alive. So I just say, well, let's embrace it and say, okay, let me be done through. Let me not fear. Let me be done through, and let the Spirit guide me through all of these apparent difficulties and obstacles to this great awakening, my own awakening, and to help others awaken. That's my only purpose here. Okay, so that brings us to our lesson, which is very short and sweet, just 3 key ideas, and then we'll go into a meditation on these. So I think Lynn, if you can read the central idea, God is only love, for us.
God is only love, and therefore so am I. In my defencelessness, my safety lies. I am among the ministers of God.
Okay, so let's look at God is only love, and therefore so am I. When you say that again. Oh. Say it aloud.
God is only love, and therefore so am I.
Okay. How does that feel?
It's feeling better every time I say it.
Feeling more like the truth.
Yeah, more like I've got a chance. Yeah. Like I am love, I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
Say that simple phrase. I am love.
I am love. I am love. I am. It's making me hot.
Keep saying it.
I am love. I am love. I am love. Yeah, I still feel the resistance there. Yeah, I can still feel it.
So every day, what I want you to do is get up and say, I am love.
Yeah.
Yourself, and say that with conviction at least 10 times. In the mirror, look at yourself and you say, I am love.
Okay, yeah.
And repeat it at night before you go to bed.
Yeah, that'll probably be
Daily
a good
dose
time,
of
actually.
affirmation. Yeah. So, in the morning you set the intention for the day. Evening you put everything to bed on that note. It's like, okay, I'm confirming to myself, my true identity. Programming yourself before you go to bed. If you scroll down and see down here, I don't know if you've delved into the depths of the schedule.
Some of it I have, yeah.
So this essence statement over here.
No, I've not done that.
To listen. There's actually a recording here that you can listen to, which will guide you through the saying your essence statement. Redirected. I need to fix that. I'll make sure that the link is fresh. It's got too many redirects going on there. But there's a 20-minute recording that you can actually listen to that will guide you through this.
Okay.
There we go. I just had to reload. Hey everyone, it's Jono. So there's a 20-minute recording that will actually guide you through this process of saying your essence statement. I am love. So listen to the recording if that helps you.
Yeah.
Or just stand in front of a mirror, say it aloud to yourself. I am love. I am. Really, really feel into it. That's the whole point. Use the words to stimulate a deeper feeling.
Okay. Yeah.
And if you keep doing that, the ego has to go.
Yeah.
Because it's a statement of simple truth. You're finally stating and claiming your true identity. There's no ambiguity. There's no equivocation. There's no, well, I'm sort of love. I'm love sometimes. I'm love. It's like I am that. This is who I am. This is my true identity. So there's a practice you can do every morning, every evening, as well as practicing these lessons.
Okay. With the God, what's the other phrase you would use for God? Or would you not?
We translate it as pure formless awareness of perfect love. But in this context, I've kept God because pure formless awareness of perfect love is only love. It's kind of stating the obvious.
Yeah, no, it's just, yeah.
So we in this there's a translation. He's saying God is only love. He's telling you exactly what it is. So that you recognize that God is only love. This God, if you have any resistance to the word God,
I do.
Well, then use it. It's there to help you get through that resistance. To realize God is love. There's nothing else. This is the absolute truth. It's the truest statement in the entire Bible. God is love.
But God sounds like a man. That's the problem.
Oh, but that's a misinterpretation.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, that's the learning I have in my head.
Well, and just deprogram it. Love is not masculine or feminine. God, love is non-dual. Love doesn't have a gender. So this is part of the the rewiring of your mind into the recognition that God, this ultimate source is only love. You could change it to source, I suppose. Source is only love.
Yeah.
Source is only love, and therefore so am I.
Yes, that works.
My source is only love.
Yeah.
And therefore so am I.
Okay.
But there's a value in working with something that you have resistance to. So switch it.
It's an interesting one though, because God is often spoke of as a he. You know, so
well, in the course he uses the he rather than she, but either is incorrect. You know, whichever way
exactly.
you're going to split it's not correct.
It's not like I'm thinking that God is
a
woman, but I don't see God as either. So.
Oh well, that's the correct perception of it. God is only love, a non-dual, abstract, perfect love that is not dualistic. So male and female don't apply to this transcendent love. It's beyond duality. So if you remember all of that when you say God is only love, then where's the resistance? You know, God is a pointer, like the word love is. It's all symbols, pointing you to a state of mind that is absolutely true. God is only love, and therefore so am I. Statement of absolute truth.
I suppose I was going to say, the thing is, you know, if you've grown up with the story that God is this man in the sky sitting on a cloud or whatever, letting go of the story, isn't it? It's really being determined to go, that was wrong. Whatever I picked up on, whatever I believed, I imagined was the case, I'm wrong. And the true belief now is it's love.
And I feel like I could do that, but then God still keeps getting called he, which takes you back to the guy with the white hair and the beard in the sky.
Well, in our translations, we're not calling God he. That's not the case.
Yes, no, I know.
Later.
Yeah, that's why I asked.
God is the pure formless awareness of perfect love, which is those words point you much more to the non-dual nature, to the non-dual abstract transcendent nature of it than for most people. The word God, has all these connotations of white man, or white man with a beard in the sky who's kind of looking over you somewhat judgmentally, going,
yes, exactly.
You don't quite measure up there, Lynn. So better shape up, or it's eternal damnation for you. It's bizarre. Like, we actually believed in this conception.
It's crazy. I know.
It's crazy, but
it was put in there a long time ago.
That's the craziness of the of the ego's thought system. Hijacked God and created this false, totally false God, false concept of God in people's minds, and then they, from a young age, conditioning. The Jesuits even said, give me a child for the first 7 years of life, and I will shape the adult. I will give you the formed adult. So they understood the power of programming at that age.
Yes.
You could install these, fallacious programs. Then you would have a Jesuit for life, because people would just believe what they've been programmed to believe. Actually, it's not. We're not slaves of our programming. Although the ego is going to tell you can actually undo it. You can undo that deep-seated program, but it does take a lot of work, which is now the work you've been called to do. Deprogram the mind of Lynn and accept the truth now of who you really are. That you are this loving presence and nothing else. Nothing else is true. Everything else that you've ever believed is your own fantasy, nightmare.
Yeah.
I love how you say God was hijacked. I mean, that is a really good way of looking at it. It's like COVID was hijacked, or anything else, that you can possibly imagine.
The flu was hijacked.
Yeah.
The ego's, you know, done a hijack job, and it's trying to hijack your mind continuously and get it to believe in what's false. You know, so it's a hijack attempt all the time, which is why we need to be vigilant. We're living in a hijacked world. The ego's hijacked the whole you know, the whole world, and it's trying to use it for its purposes. And so the vigilance is, no, you know, I'm not going to let the ego hijack my mind. I'm not going to allow these beliefs. You know, I might still be seemingly living in a human form in a world. There's not too much I can do about that while I'm human. But what I believe, I can do everything about that. How I interpret this, that you know, that I have control over. So let me not let the ego hijack any of my thoughts, not hijack the word God. This is claiming it back and saying, okay, well, let's claim God back for what God is. God is only love, and therefore so am I. This is now a statement of the truth. So that's why, in this sense, I've kept God. So I think it's a useful undoing process to have the word God and say, but God, remember, God is only love. And therefore, so must I be. I am love too. If my source is only love, then so must I be.
Yes.
It's completely obvious. The logic is infallible and inescapable. Will you accept it, though? That's the question. Deeply, viscerally accept this truth. God is only love, and therefore so am I. Such a simple statement, and you can kind of repeat it parrot fashion. But if you deeply accept that, that is a life changer. That one statement is going to change your entire life.
I know, I can feel it when I read it. So I know.
So keep working with it. You know, you've got another 8 days of this review to go. So God is only love, therefore so am I is coming down the track for another 8 days. And then you know, say your essence statement as I am love. As another way of just reminding yourself, this is who I am.
Yeah.
It doesn't make complete sense at the start of any day to remind yourself who you are. Why aren't we taught this as kids? Remind yourself who you are, because your self-concept is directing everything. So we'll brush our teeth and we'll, you know, have a shower, but we don't do any kind of spiritual reminding, because that's you know, we just kind of show up in an unprepared way for our lives every day with a false self-concept that's guiding us. So this is why, you know, this program is designed to just, okay, well, spend some time, be conscious of it. How are you going to show up today? You're going to show up as love, or you're going to show up as a victim? Because those are your choices.
Yeah.
Sigh. Well, it's good. Sigh it all out. Let it all go.
Yesterday I felt like love. Today I feel not so much, but I'm feeling better. I am feeling better. I just want it to stay even, you know. Just want to get back on an even keel. It's exhausting being so up down.
At any point, you know, if you find yourself losing it, I am love is such a simple statement. If you can't remember the lesson for the day, just I am love. And you say that to yourself 10 times. I am love.
Yeah.
And you sit quietly for a couple of minutes and you breathe in and out as you say, you know, I am love. Breathe it in. Feel it. Connect with it. Sit with it for a few moments. Then as you exhale, okay, I'm going to release anything that's not love. Just let it go. To exhale. And so you can use the breath and the statements. Such a simple practice. You go, well, could it be that simple? Yes, it is. Really, really simple. But you just got to remember to do it.
Okay.
So you're finding yourself going, you know, the ego's doing a hijack attempt, to use our language, because that's what it's trying to do.
Yeah.
You find yourself going into that separation and you feel the energy of it arising, because it does have an energy. And it's like, okay, alarm bell, all right. Just sit quietly, do a couple of minutes, and just release this. With the help of my breath and the simple statement, I am love. or switch it around and use a breath break. Listen to one of the breath breaks, that I post. And that's 5-6 minutes, and it just shifts your energy.
Every time I've tried doing one of those, I start coughing, ironically. So I'll keep at it though. I'm not going to give up. But I've got that block to that. I was able to go into the meditation yesterday, the live one that we did, but when I'm on my own, I find it hard to stay in the energy. At the moment, anyway,
Well, persevere. You've got a recording. Maybe, if Sally's free, sit with her. So will you sit with me for 5 minutes? And just have someone to, hold the space for you. And do a little 5 minutes of mind training, just to reset. Because every time you reset your energy into this loving presence, it's another undoing of the ego every time. So that's why it's got resistance to it. It doesn't want you to do it. So no, you cough, whatever, resistance, because it's going to be it's undoing. By sitting in the field of love, it's undoing the ego. So of course it's not going to like that. So overcoming the resistance is the challenge. This is why the hero's journey isn't easy. If there wasn't resistance, it would be a piece of cake. Oh yeah, of course, I'll just get this done deal. But it's difficult because you have the resistance of the ego. And the closer you get to really undoing it, the more resistance seems to arise. Like you give me some huge resistance there, because Lynn is fighting for her life. That's what's happening. That self-concept of Lynn as the scared, victim identity that's carried you through your life is being seriously threatened by this. So it's going to create all kinds of resistance. Oh no, you're going to cough and you're going to get sick and you can't do this physically, and any excuse, because doesn't want you to learn this.
Sure, yeah.
So it's but you do want to learn this. That your spirit, your true self, absolutely has desired this for forever.
It's desiring it now, openly,
More and more so. So which is stronger? And I can assure you that the spirit is stronger. This is the hero's journey. Is that yes, you are going to do this. This is a done deal. You are going to go through this whole journey, and you will come out the other side, and you will return as an awakened being. It's a done deal. It's already happened. It's just got to play out in time. In the dream of the world, in the movie of Lynn, the script's got to play out, and you've got to experience it frame by frame. But it's already scripted. This whole hero's journey is already done. It's like the film. The film's been made, the movie's been made, and it's got to play out frame by frame in your experience. But it's already loaded in there. This is what Yeshua is saying. The script is written. This is a done deal. The Spirit's already awoken you. It's in the script, but you have to play it out in your life, frame by frame, moment by moment.
Okay. Yeah.
Because that's how it goes. There's no shopping it. You have to experience it. But know that it's a done deal. You've already awoken, and you're already back home, and all these challenges are behind you, because that knowledge pulls you along the path, doesn't it? It pulls you through the hero's journey. Oh, it's already done. And this is just the unfolding of what's already been done. The movie's already been made. I've just got to experience it frame by frame, and that's kind of interesting. If it all happened like so quickly, well, where's the journey? Where's the enjoyment in life? I would just get it over with really quickly. No, it's like, okay, there's an unfolding here, and I can actually enjoy this journey. I can enjoy this final journey, my final journey back home. This is what you're undertaking in this life. I can really enjoy that. It can be a happy dream. My final dream can be a very happy one. I can go out on a high note.
I was going to say the more we do this work, and I was going to say with Lynn, because I totally resonate with you, Lynn, but I'm noticing today with me being so focused on what you're all saying. And even when you say I am love, I still find that a bit of a trigger, but I'm noticing and I'm saying to myself, oh my gosh, that's a pattern, that it's okay, it's going to go. So it's really good now to just be able to observe and just think, do you know what? That's going, because I didn't realise that before. I noticed that's a behaviour. I've noticed that's a habit that I've got, that I still resist love. I'm okay with saying it now, but I think the more we share these moments, it's really good, because we can, well, like I said, I can see it just fall away until next time or until whenever. But the now, because the now is so powerful, it's allowing it just to drop what I had believed to be true for so long. But this is what I'm liking at the minute. Today, just observing it all, it's been just, it's great to listen to everybody. And yeah, I thought I'd just share that with you anyway.
Yeah, thanks. So I hear you, because sometimes we just can't see things very clearly, but if we hear someone else is going through the same, it's like, oh, that now I see it. It is, you know, it feels like the same thing, and then you just can see the picture so clearly, can't you?
Yeah, and that's the benefit of a community. You know, you realize I'm not on my own here. Everyone's going through this awakening process, and it's not easy for anyone.
I'm not as brave as you, Lynn. I've not been doing it continuously every day coming on, even the 3 weeks. I did a few days, but I think it's real. But for me, I think that's how I process things, and I feel a bit more sharper and a bit more with it when I come back. So I kind of take notice of what's been shared and listen to it, and listen to all these added videos and anything that Johnny has shared or anybody has said. And I think it really helps me that when I come on, I am observing more and I'm noticing things fall away rather than wanting to get involved, or, you know, I'm still aware of the ego that may want to say something. So, yeah.
I mean, I've missed a few days. I just couldn't fake, because I was, you know, having a bit of a difficult time. So I missed a few days because I couldn't face it. But you know, I'm glad to be back in it, in the energy and and the learning. And
what amazes me is,
you know, it's a field, isn't it? There's a field that's going on, facilitated by technology right now. You immerse yourself in the field, that's going to have a powerful effect on your mental and emotional state.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening. That's why it's powerful to join the live course, because you immerse in the field in a way. The recordings are not as field immersive. You're listening, but you're not immersed in the field, which is what happens when you join a live session.
So, it is different. It's definitely different being part of it than listening after. Yeah.
More interactive, more engaging, more of an immersion experience. So, you know, you're not having someone in a recording say, okay, so Lynn, so say I am love. It's like, imagine the recording say, okay, so now Lynn, you're like, look, you know, whereas with live, it's interactive and it involves you. You know, it's you're part of it. So there's nowhere to hide if you come on the call. It's like, well, you know, you're a part of it, and there's only a few people. So
yeah.
So it's another level of shift and transformation you're going to get from each of these calls. So why not take advantage of it? They're happening every day virtually. So
and it's like self-care. It's like giving yourself more self-care coming on the call than just in the days when I was just reading through
and just listening to the recording.
Yeah.
That's when ego's got a hold, isn't it? When you're feeling bad, because ego's what amazes me.
Sorry, Sally.
It's just what amazes me is you can be saying the same thing, Jono, again and again and again, and just suddenly it goes, oh, I guess that's what I love. It's like I'm sitting looking at the picture of these 4 spiritual teachers and going, oh, they're just normal people that got out the way. Oh, they just let the truth through. Oh, well, any of us can do that if we do the work for it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. You know, and he's saying, I am among the ministers of God. I am among the teachers of love, just like Yeshua, Buddha, Lao Tzu. So there's no like, oh, they were such great masters, and there's never going to be other great masters like them. No, that's rubbish. That's a load of nonsense. It's just because it's been a long time, and people have then formed religions around them. They've gone, oh, these were like, well, in Jesus' case, we call him the Son of God. He's the only Son of God. I'm talking about a delusion, and talk about making it unreachable. This is what the ego did. It hijacked it and said, oh, this is not unreachable because he's the only one. Only he can do it. Oh God, I'm talking about like there's finally hope. Someone's actually really lived this, and they've really walked the path of truth, and they've demonstrated for the whole world. And the ego comes in and misinterprets and says, oh no, he's the only one. Forget you. You're not the Son of God. So what are you then? You're not the Son of God. What are you then? Some kind of lower form of life? What are you then? Exactly. Miserable sinner who just can never live up to to Jesus, who's the Son of God, who don't forget died your sins, and you better be full that he died for your sins, but you're still a miserable sinner anyway. It's bizarre. What a bizarre belief system. If you look at it like that, it's just totally weird, and yet billions of people believe this. Extraordinary. And then people who have any kind of sense and question it are like the heretics. Oh no, you can't question this great edifice of Christianity because this is true. No, you guys just got it all wrong. That's what happened. It got misinterpreted pretty much from the moment Yeshua died, because his disciples didn't fully understand what he said. And Paul, who was really responsible for Christianity forming in the way it did, Paul didn't even live when he was alive. Paul never met Jesus. He had one revelatory experience on the road to Damascus. He saw him in a vision, and he went off on his own track, and he still had a lot of the old thought system of guilt and the old conception of God, because he was Jewish, and that colored his teaching. He wasn't teaching the pure radical forgiveness. He didn't understand that it was all an illusion. Not even Jesus' disciples, taught by him directly, fully understood that. So of course it got misinterpreted. And then, the Romans then hijacked it 300 years later, and it became the Roman Catholic religion. Oh God, now the Romans are involved again. The very people who crucified the guy have now hijacked it and have made it into some kind of control system for their crumbling empire. And you think this is authentic? Like, come on. Yeah. Of course it's false. And then, it goes further and further away from the truth over thousands of years. And now finally we have a teaching that just brings us back to, okay, well, from the horse's mouth, this is the man himself teaching us directly through a scribe. This is so helpful, because all of those delusions are just swept away. He's just telling us, well, this is what I believe. This is what I really taught. And it's available in, well, maybe not such plain English, which is why we're translating it, but it's understandable, it's accessible, it's available freely on the internet. Wow, what a time to be alive! That this amazing teaching is there for us to help us to walk this path of awakening, and do it, much more quickly and easily, I think, than was possible in generations gone by. So, yeah, it's all perfect in its apparent imperfection, all unfolding for all of us in the perfect way.
And when I was watching the Martin Luther documentary thing, I mean, he really suffered, didn't he? He really suffered on his journey, and I hadn't realized that at all. And then he just had those lucky breaks, didn't he? And those moments, or the printing of his material,
well,
that just changed.
He had one mystic experience. One mystic experience with a bit of scripture, one line, well, a couple of lines, that not by works but by grace we're saved. That line in the Bible, and that was his opening. Those words took him into a deeper understanding. That understanding then was what he dedicated his life to teaching, and so he became a teacher of God, a teacher of love, and it just so happened that the technology of the time, suddenly the printing press came into being, and they needed books. So he wrote, and the printers were like, well, we'll print this stuff for free and just get it out there, because we want people to start reading. And he never made any money from his books. You know that. It was before the days of royalties, and he just did it freely. And the first best-selling author, I guess, in the world. And it was a teaching of a different concept of God and a different way of looking at it, and it was a message that was ready to be heard. So there's he just stepped up, and that was his path, that was his particular life in history at that time. And it's context specific. That's the thing. The Spirit will find a way in your context, in the context you're in, and the time you're in, with the technology that's available, and it's going to use that for its purposes. And so now we're in a time, wow, this technology we have, information technology, compared with the printing press, we've come so far. Look at what's possible. We have, digital technology, words and images and pictures can get out there instantly, and can be used for awakening. So, wow, how can you use the technology to do that? And I guess, for me, that's been the call of the last 4 years. Okay, well, we'll use all this technology and put down these words and use images and use videos and use audio and use it all, because it's all available, and put it into a program that helps to awaken people. Why wouldn't you do that? That makes complete sense. Use the technology for what it's really for, which is awakening. So that's, what an exciting time to be alive. And all of us have access to this power, enormous power of communication that wasn't available even 50 years ago. 50 years ago, we still had, printing. You still had to print written material, type. And now suddenly it's like, just, instantly out there. Extraordinary, really. And I think that's going to be the game changer. The speed and power of the transmission of a message is exponentially so much more today. So this kind of message can get out there and can make a direct impact on people's lives. There's no reason why thousands, tens of thousands of people couldn't watch this video. It's being streamed live. It's possible. There's only a handful of us on, and maybe only 10 people will watch it, but the possibility is there for it to go to so many people. Yeah, pretty extraordinary times, really, we live in. So to speak to this, I'm among the ministers of God. I'm among the teachers of love. This is our call, right now. You be the teacher of God. You be the teacher of love, and find a way to do that in your own life. And therein lies your highest calling, your purpose, the training of your life. Therein lies your happiness, your peace of mind. It will all come to the teaching of this transcendent love. Yeah, that's the call for all of us. So any thoughts on that idea? Anyone?
No.
And then the first one, in my defenselessness, my safety lies.
I used to have this thing where I'd take the dog out for a walk, and she'd be in barking attack mode as I went out the door. And I remember reading this like a couple of years ago or so, and I was like, right, so I'm in defense mode, and she's channeling it for me out there and barking at all these people that are on the front garden or near the front garden. So I was trying to work out how, because it's subconscious, isn't it? You don't realize you're doing it. So I was feeling fear in some form buried in me that was showing up as a dog that was in defense mode.
Yeah, because dogs pick up on our energy, definitely. And it's such a powerful lesson. This, in my defenselessness, my safety lies. Completely counterintuitive to the ego. The ego is not going to understand this at all. The ego is going to tell you, well, no, by defending yourself, you're going to make yourself safe because there's an apparent threat, and you need to take appropriate measures to defend yourself, however that may be. They're safety. It's the completely opposite thought system. But Yeshua understands, that when you look at the defensiveness and you say, no, this is wrong, I'm going to be defenseless. I'm actually calling upon my true safety, which lies in love, beyond fear. So the sneaky thing with defensiveness is it makes fear real, and it convinces you that it really is an apparent threat to your well-being that's outside of you, and now you need to defend against that because it's a real threat, and of course it makes the fear real. It makes the whole thought system of fear and threat and an attack real in your mind, and that thought system is the problem. That thought system will continuously create threat and the feeling of fear. So that's the real problem. It's saying only in your defenselessness, when you're willing to let that go, will you be saved. Because the entire thought system then of feeling threatened, feeling like a separate self, feeling threatened, feeling victimized, the fear that goes along with that then starts to collapse if you're defenseless. And again, there's Yeshua teaching. He was defenseless. He said, okay, away, we're not going to defend. And his disciples started to defend him. He said, no, don't. Just leave it. Lay down your arms. And let this happen. So really demonstrating in the physical the power of defenselessness, that there's a power that transcends this thought system of fear and attack and defense entirely. So really, really a good lesson to remember, especially if you find yourself becoming defensive, threat, and you start taking measures on the level of form to seemingly defend yourself. And COVID was, to return to that old chestnut, was a classic example of defensiveness in action. Oh, we're going to get very defensive. That's a defense. We need to wear masks. That's a defense. And so now we're being defensive, and in our defensiveness, we're making the threat real in our minds, whether it exists or doesn't. This apparent virus, it exists in our minds, it exists in our belief, because and it's reinforced every time we take a defensive measure. And that's how the ego works. So it makes the threat very real in your mind the more you defend against it, which is a prison. So it's a trap for the mind, which is why we correct spiritually. You can't buy into that, because it's being defensive brings the ego into strengthens the ego. And if I'm on a spiritual path that's going the wrong direction, I need to be undoing the ego. So this becomes another lesson in undoing the ego. Right? It just shows you how egoic our society still is. The default response to COVID showed just where people are, and that they believe in the ego, and they believe that defensiveness will actually work, when very evidently it doesn't. There was no evidence ever. What's so interesting is no evidence to show that a vaccination would work. There's no evidence whatsoever. It was purely a matter of belief.
Mm-hmm.
And yet people believed it because they wanted to believe it.
Yeah.
Okay, so those are some thoughts on those ideas. Anything else? In my defenseless, my safety lies. Any thoughts, comments, questions on that? Or the second one, I'm among the ministers or teachers of God, teachers of love. So I am among them. I am like Yeshua, and
All right.
and Buddha and Lao Tzu. I am exactly the same.
You're breaking up a bit for me, Jonathan.
And me.
You're about to leave the room.
This is what I am. This is my true function.
Still can't hear you. No, if you're talking, can't hear you. Nope.
Okay.
Don't know if it's us or him.
Oh, that's really weird, isn't it? It's happened a few times now.
Doesn't usually.
Is it not?
Teacher of love. Maybe that's the thing we're a bit locked on.
Yeah.
Wouldn't mind being a teacher of peace.
You are a teacher of peace. You already are.
I remember being in a meditation once and I asked, the power that be, what my job here was. And it was to be a teacher of love. And I went, oh, really?
A teacher of the love of animals.
Yeah.
Just not myself.
Yeah, you teach the love of nature, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
You're like a Dalek at the moment, Jonathan.
Like you're rapping.
Can you hear him, Susie, or is it just us?
No, I can't hear him. Sounds like that old music video. Was it Max? Where we
Yeah. Hello.
Really weird, isn't it?
My dog just had a whappy as well because we've got a couple of friends round here and he's I wonder if you could hear him.
No.
Oh.
Sally, you're the host.
Yeah.
Oh.
Right, I'm just going to check on my dog again.
Yeah, I need to go.
Hello?
Wee.
Come on then, go for a wee.
Can you hear me now?
Yay! Yep, heard you then.
Am I back?
Well, can't see you.
Sorry about that. I don't know what it's but yeah, let's start video again. Yeah. So shall we do a little meditation?
Oh, you're still breaking up a little bit. Could be a dodgy meditation. Susie's gone to check on the dog. Lynn's gone to the toilet. Let's give it a minute.
How does that sound?
Coming and going.
All right. Okay. Okay. Well, I'll stop my video and let's try to do a meditation, shall we?
Yeah.
How's that sound?
Yeah. Always good.
Okay. So we can persevere with this. Shall we give a meditation a go?
Yep.
All right.
Yes, please.
Keep my video off just to save the bandwidth. I don't know why it's dodgy today, but let's see if we can accomplish a meditation. So just going somewhere where you're not going to be disturbed. Sitting feet shoulder width apart. Back straight, cup your hands in your lap. Close your eyes. And start off by taking a nice deep breath in through the nose. So breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises. And the subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Clenching the sphincter muscle, you lock the energy in. Drawing energy up the spine into your heart center. Put one hand on your heart to connect in with your heart space. Letting go of all defensiveness and all fear. Blowing it all out. So breathe through your breath. And feeling the love of God. So God is only love, and therefore so am I. Beyond defensiveness. There's this eternal loving presence. It's always there, always with you, speaking to you now through these, calling you to listen to it, and only it. Breathe in again. Deep, full inhale breath. Breathing in the essence of this loving presence. Say, I am among the ministers of God. I am among the teachers of love. This is my true function. There is nothing else to learn and to teach. I'm among the teachers of love. And so I breathe it in. Power and the presence of this love. Say, once again, God is only love. And therefore, so am I. My source is only love. And therefore, so am I. And as I extend that love, as I teach that love, I come to know that that love is me. I am love. Exhale in the truth of that. If there's any resistance to that, just have a sense of letting it go, blowing it away. The breeze of your breath to the nothingness that it really is. Just letting it all go. Resting in a peace and stillness. Lie beyond your ego, beyond any thought of separation, beyond any thought of a separate self and of being a victim and being special. Lies the truth that you are love, perfect love. Say one more time, God is only love, and therefore so am I. Breathe the energy of those words in, feel into these words. God is only love, and therefore so am I. This loving presence infuse every pore, every cell, every muscle, your body, every part of your mind, every fiber of your being. Just rest in this love. So God is only love, and therefore so am I. So I am among the teachers of love. This is my only purpose and my only function in this world. I'm among the teachers of love. And I accept that function fully, wholly, and completely. Because I am love. So the only thing I can do is teach what I am. Teach the love that I am, and as I teach it, I learn it. Become more and more certain that I am love, and there is nothing else. And so just rest in this beautiful, healing presence of love. For a few minutes of deep silence, there's nowhere else to go, nothing else to do, nothing else to think about. Just breathe, relax, and be still. Surrender into this loving presence that you are. A couple of minutes of deep silence. So any thoughts, emotions, any related sensations in the body that come up, just observe them. Breathe in, just a nice deep breath in. Create some space, some light. It helps you can visualize light flowing into any of those areas of darkness, tension. And it's just a sense of a light awareness arising in your mind, and you say to yourself again, God is only love, and therefore so am I. And me and my defenselessness, as my safety lies. I'm going to let go of my defensiveness, let go of my fear, the block to the awareness of love's presence. Exhale it all out. Blow it all away with the breeze of your breath. The nothingness that it really is. It's going, gone. All the stomach into the spine. Expel the last remaining air out. And just rest. Yeah, and the peace and the stillness. Peace of love that passes all understanding, it's been called. So surrender to that completely for the next couple of minutes of deep silence. Nowhere else to go, nothing else to do, nothing else whatsoever to think about. Just say God is only love, and therefore so am I. And drop into the full experience of that love. Another 2 minutes of deep silence. So just gently coming back, this deep state of awareness into awareness of the body and the breath. The senses and the world. And on the count of 3, you're going to open your eyes. So 1, just breathing in, stomach rises in the chest, subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Pausing at the top of the inhale, scan your mind again. Notice any thoughts, any emotions, and related sensations going on. Remind yourself that God is only love. And therefore, so am I. And blow any of that away. One more time with the breeze of your breath, just like a dark cloud just leaving your mind, leaving your energy field, blown away to the nothingness it really is. The clouds are not real. The blue sky, pure formless awareness, perfect love, shining through the sky. Your mind is the only truth. So just feel that truth deeply, connect with it. Bottom of the exhale, a moment of stillness. Experience the sweetness of this truth that you are love. You are perfect love. Nothing has ever changed. No mad ideas to the contrary are true, have any reality at all. So smile. Count of 2, notice the weight of your body. Pressing down into the chair, feet touching the ground. Notice what you're feeling with your hands and touching. Maybe there's a subtle taste in your mouth. As you breathe in again, notice any smell in your nose. And notice what you're hearing surrounding the environment. Noticing all these in this very still, calm and surrendered state of mind. Without judgments, without the ego's interpretations and judgments. It's everything. Just pure formless awareness, perfect love. So this energy of love, hopefully you've connected with quite deeply, can stay with you always, in all ways, and underlie every sense perception you have. Set that intention for the rest of the afternoon and the evening ahead. So it is said and so it is done. You stay connected to this energy by practicing today's lesson frequently, ideally every hour. Just remind yourself of the lesson and just bring key ideas to mind. A minute or two, or you can listen to a breath break. So it is said, so it is done. And so on the count of 3, open your eyes. Just take a minute to look around, noticing various objects in the room around you. Particularly anything that feels at all negative, limiting, contracted, constricting in any way. Observe that and let it go and just find the deeper peace. Lies it all. Connect with that. Stay rooted in that for the rest of the afternoon and evening ahead. So that brings us to the end of the meditation. So, Lynn, we actually can continue if you want, because I do the text reading as well, if you'd like to. Or is that enough?
No, not today, thank you, because I've nodded off a couple of times in there, so I feel like I need a little kip. I'm sorry, but thank you. That's good.
Okay. Yeah. So try and practice the lesson.
I will. Yeah.
Just to keep you on that energy, and remember that I am love.
Yes, I will. I'll do that with a mirror.
I am love before you go to bed, and when you wake up. So that's really going to help you.
Okay, I will.
All right. So practice well. Stay in love. Stay in the truth, and I'll hopefully see you tomorrow.
Yes, thank you, Jonathan.
All right.
Bye.
Namaste. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.